Anthony Reyes making his third start, his second right here at Progressive Field. He is 1-0, a 5.73 ERA. His last start against the Yankees, he went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, but 3 of those left the ballpark. They were solo home runs. So he will come back, try to keep the ball in the yard, and look for win number 2 this afternoon. Let's set the defense behind Reyes on this beautiful afternoon here at Progressive Field. Francisco's in left, Sizemore in center, Crow is in right. DeRosa at third, Peralta at short, Cabrera is at second, Garco is at first with Martinez back behind the plate.
It is beautiful. As you take a look at the umpiring crew, John Hirschbeck, the crew chief behind the plate, Wally Bell, Marty Foster, Marvin Hudson. However, still a tad on the chilly side, 44 degrees at game time.
But when you see the sunshine, it takes that chill away.
And I don't know about you, my whole outlook was better when I woke up today.
Yeah, I agree. You know, at nighttime it's a little cooler. That sun goes down. I love a day baseball.
Coco Crisp leads off, takes a called strike. The switch hitter batting from the left side is 4 for 9 in the series. Coco leads the American League in triples with 3. Well, he's already hit a bunch of triples in only 39 career games at Kauffman Stadium.
I was going to say, that's a great ballpark for him to play in, not only defensively but offensively, because it's a spacious ball yard, and, he hits a gap, and there's a pretty good chance he could get 3. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him in double digits in triples this year.
He has 29 career triples. 9 of them have come in KC in just 39 career games. No balls, 2 strikes to count. Anthony Reyes. Making his third start of the year here for the Tribe. And the 0-2.
Beautiful.
Caught the outside corner with a perfect pitch.
He sure did. He went right at him. A good fastball. Looked like he had a little run going away from Coco on the left side of the plate. But he dots that eye right there on the corner at the knees. Great pitch. Strikeout number 1 for Reyes.
That will bring up Alberto Callaspo, who is in the midst of a 5-game hitting streak. 9 for his last 18.
Well, that's why they shuffled the lineup today to get Callaspo in that number 2 hole and get Mike Aviles out. He's moved down to the number 8 spot where pretty much Callaspo was hitting in the first 2 games.
Yeah, they're at opposite ends of the hot spectrum. Callaspo 9 out of 18. Aviles 0 for his last 11.
Well, and that's what Kansas City has to do. They're 13th in the league in runs scored. They've scored 59 runs as a ball club. You know, they don't walk a whole lot, 44 times. They're not a power hitting club. They're last in the league in home runs, or excuse me, not last, but 9th.
Weak tapper hit towards second. Cabrera throws him out, 2 down. Today's injury report brought to you by the law firm of Nuremberg, Paris. Ohio's injury lawyers since 1928. Call 1-800-399-2300. Talked to Jamie Carroll yesterday. That fracture in his hand is healing, doing nicely, and he's kind of chomping at the bit. He's ready to start getting into some baseball action, and hopefully that will be right around the corner for him.
Well, you don't blame him because it happened on the very last game in spring training. As a matter of fact, their last stop on their way to Texas.
Yeah.
In the last inning.
He's been reduced to the role of cheerleader, as he told me. He said, all I can do once the game starts, get my pom-poms out and cheer as loud as I can for the guys.
It's no fun, especially to start the year. But he will be ready.
1-0 pitch up high to DeJesus. 2 balls, no strikes. I thought it was surprising, Rick. I read today, David DeJesus is the longest tenured Royal. It seems like yesterday this guy was making his debut. Back in 2003, though.
Well, time flies. You know, you don't think about it, and you just go from year to year. But
time flies, and you have player turnover.
Yeah, and he's a solid player. He's a good player.
For so many years, Mike Sweeney was the face of the Royals. But
right.
We thought he was going to retire, and he's since played for 2 more teams since then.
Well, he's playing pretty well for Seattle out there in the Northwest.
The 2-1. Way up high. 3 balls and a strike. Anthony Reyes trying to set him down 1-2-3 here in the first. DeJesus takes a strike, full count. Fastball away. And the payoff pitch. A little bit low and wide. A 2-out walk. Gonna bring up Billy Butler, Royals first baseman, who's also on a roll offensively. He's hit in 5 straight games, 6 out of his last 18. And a pitch is up high for ball
Butler,
one.
who was really struggling when the Indians went to Kansas City. He only had 1 hit at that time. I think it was one for 17. Has picked it back up. He's hitting .333 against the Indians here, 5 for 15.
Quick throw to first. DeJesus back in a hurry. DeJesus has good speed without a stolen base to this point.
Yeah, you know what? The surprising thing, Kansas City, a team with not much power, but they don't run a lot either. They're last in stolen bases. They only have 3. So their team speed is not good. So you would think that you have to start the runners a lot of times, because after the first game of the series, when they hit into 6 double plays.
Yep. There's Trey Hillman, Royals manager. You see Kevin Seitzer over his right shoulder, former Cleveland Indian, serving as the Royals hitting coach now. Up high, 2-0. Billy Butler, former #1 pick back in 2004. Native of Jacksonville, Florida. He was all ready to go to the University of Florida, but not when the Royals drafted him in the first round. Up and in, and all of a sudden Reyes, after getting the first 2 hitters, now struggling to find the strike zone. He fell behind DeJesus 3-1 before eventually walking him, and now he's 3-0 to Butler. Ground ball hit towards short on a 3-0 pitch, and that'll end the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 man left aboard. Now the Indians coming to bat. There swings against Gil Mesh, and here is the starting lineup for the Tribe, courtesy of Eric Wedge. Brought to you by Progressive Insurance, proud to be the official auto insurance provider of the Cleveland Indians. Brady Sizemore, Mark DeRosa, and Victor Martinez, who is red hot. Then Shin-Soo Choo, Johnny Peralta, and Ryan Garco. Ben Francisco, Trevor Crow, and Asdrubal Cabrera rounded out.
Gil Mesh making start number 4 this year. He is 1-0. He's pitched very well. As a matter of fact, should have had a win in his very first start against the White Sox. Left with a 2-1 lead after 7 innings. The bullpen gave up a home run, and they cost him that ball game. But he's been throwing the ball very well.
Brady Sizemore leads it off, takes a strike.
20 innings in his first 3 starts. So he's been going deep into the game.
Fouled back. Got quickly 0-2. Mesh has a good fastball and a very good curve. And there it is. Swung on and missed. 1 down.
Let's set the defense for the Royals this afternoon behind Mesh. DeJesus in left. Crisp is in center. Mayer is in right. Tien at third. Avila's at short. Callaspo at second. Butler at first, with John Buck getting the start behind the plate this afternoon in this day game after the night game.
Going to bring up Mark DeRosa. Indians' third baseman has a hit in 9 of his last 11 games, hitting .280 during that time. But just 1 for 7 so far in this series. Gil Mesh is a native of Lafayette, Louisiana. Former #1 pick of the Seattle Mariners back in 1996.
You know, and in the third year, a 5-year deal that he signed, a big $55 million deal for Kansas City. They thought everybody overpaid, but it's a going rate for a starting pitcher, man. And he came in when the team was terrible as a #1 starter and sort of anchored that staff down a little bit.
There's a ground ball hit to short. Mike Aviles takes care of it, 2 down. I'll tell you, Rick, if you show me a contract that at the time it was signed, people said, well, they overpaid for that guy. And unless the guy turned out to be a total bust, 3 years later, I'll show you a contract that looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's usually how it turns out. You're absolutely right. Well, he's come in, and now when they put him together with Zach Greinke, that's a nice 1-2 combination.
Yes, it is.
And, I mean, for Gil Mesh, against the Indians, he's had his struggles. He's 4-8, but in every other team in our division, Chicago, he's 7-3 against those guys, 8-4 against Detroit, 7-5 against Minnesota. So he pitches well within the division. And he either usually pitches very good against the Indians, or they rough him up. You know, they hit him hard somewhere or drop a big inning on him. But this guy's got good stuff. That he's got all 4 pitches.
Victor Martinez, the hottest Indian bat, 6 for 9 in the series. Check out our Firestone League leaders. Firestone, a tradition of innovation. Kansas City, second only to Seattle in team earned run average.
Right, but their starters are the best in the league when you look at the starting staff. It's broken down where they have the best ERA.
And this is a Royals starting rotation that they feel like they still have some left in reserve if guys like Luke Hochshaver start banging on the door and they get the promotion to the big leagues.
Well, you see what happened last night. They called up the kid Bannister from AAA, who's been in the big leagues before. He tosses a gem. And when you look at their big three, when you look at Gil Mesh, you look at Zach Greinke and Kyle Davis, they're 7-2 in their starts, but their bullpen has given up the 2 losses between those 3 guys. So they've played very well. They have 3 shutouts as a team, which is most in this league. They only trail Pittsburgh, believe it or not, has 4 already. So it's definitely pitching oriented staff.
Zach Greinke.
That kid's off to a great start. Well, you knew something, that kid could be special when he broke in when he was 20 years old. Now that he's got his life turned around.
A lot of ups and downs for the young man, but you're right. He seems to be going on the
the right direction.
Right direction.
Yeah,
now.
he's fun to watch pitch. We had him on the ropes a few times in Kansas City, boy, and he went to that slider. A lot like what Roy Halladay did when he get in trouble.
He's learned how to pitch, to take a little off instead of put a little too much on at times.
And he's 25 years old, for goodness sakes.
2-2 fouled away. Victor Martinez off to the great start offensively, and just look at this.
Well, he's on fire. He's the Victor you know. He had a couple of hits last night out of the 5. They only had 5 hits. Victor had 2 of them.
Pretty good battle here to start the ball game between Messi and Martinez with 2 down in the first. 14th pitch of the inning coming up for the Royals right-hander.
Well, last night Victor had an 11 pitch at bat.
Good breaking ball, and somehow Martinez able to lay off that tantalizing curve.
No,
that's when you know your hitter's
seeing
going well,
the ball.
when he's able to stay back and wait on that big breaker.
Very confident. He's seeing the ball well out of every pitcher's hands from both sides of the plate because he's putting good swings on everyone.
Off the end of the bat,
And that's
Buck throws low, and Butler digs it out. Indians go 1-2-3. No score after an inning in Cleveland. Indians, Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. By McCafe Coffees at McDonald's, all made to order with fresh ground espresso beans. And by All Care Dental and Dentures, we make seeing the dentist easy. No score, second inning here at Progressive Field. Mark T and Mike Jacobs and John Buck will bat against Anthony Reyes. Royals start today tied with Detroit for the top spot in the AL Central, and Chicago, all three 8-6.
Detroit had a wild one last night out in Anaheim.
Yeah, they came back to win 12-10.
Yeah, big ball game.
Minnesota lost both ends of the doubleheader in Boston. They check in at 7-9, and then the Indians at 5-10.
They're spending today in Cleveland on an off day.
They got in late last night after the double dip in Boston. Twins in town Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Great weather expected. Hope you can come down to the ball yard and join us for the 3-game series. If not, we'll have it for you right here on Sports Time Ohio. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday 105.
Sunday will be on WKYC Channel 3.
Pitch to Tien is hit well, deep to right, And making the catch is Trevor Kroll. He can cover a lot of ground in a hurry. Well, Rick, if you haven't heard, it's BOGO time at Alvin's Jewelers. Now through Mother's Day at Alvin's, buy one piece of jewelry and get the second piece free. Support a Cleveland-owned family jeweler. Visit alvinsjewelers.com. One down here from Mike Jacobs. Jacobs has gone 4 for 8 in the series. Talk about guys who lift and separate. Mike Jacobs has put over 85% of the balls he has put in play in the air. That is the tops in the AL.
Talk about a little uppercut, maybe? Well, he's a low ball hitter, and left-handers do. You have a tendency, think back Jim Thome. I guarantee he's got to be one of the top guys. You put the ball in the air, he's got that slight uppercut. But he has pretty good power from what we've seen so far this year.
Well, here's the list among Major League Baseball. Jacobs #1 at over 85%, mind you. And then Benji Molina of San Francisco, surprisingly, at 76%. Mike Cameron of Milwaukee at 75. Our old buddy Ryan Ludwig in St. Louis at 73. And then Adam Dunn and David Ortiz both tied at 71%. Dunn and Ortiz, absolutely no surprise whatsoever.
Well, you think power hitters when you think of, fly balls, guys that are going to try and lift and get it out of the ballpark.
And granted, it's still early. I mean, you're talking less than a month of baseball. Be curious to look back on those numbers as the season goes on and see who stays at the top of that list. And
well, this guy probably will.
I would think so. From what we've seen so far. Adam reaching, but he fouls it off to stay alive.
You know, so far this year with Anthony Reyes, the first time through the lineup, he's usually outstanding. Team's hitting just 0.63 off him. They make an adjustment the second time through. They're hitting just under 300 at a 294 clip. So to this point, no hits. He has walked one.
In addition to hitting a lot of balls in the air, Mike Jacobs has a lot of hits. He's hit in 3 straight games, 6 for his last 12. They average over 300 on the year. But he strikes out looking here. Second strikeout for Reyes, 2 down in the second inning.
Both those strikeouts are looking, so it seems to be perfect pitches on the outside edge. These hitters maybe not familiar with Reyes. There it is. Beautiful. Down at the knees, outside edge. Same one he got Coco with. That ball tailing off the plate gets the call. Out number 2.
That brings up John Buck. First action in this series. He homered twice against the Indians on Tax Day, April 15th, including a grand slam.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was glad to see he wasn't in the lineup because he had a very good series over there in Kansas City. After that day, they were forced to put him in the next day. Oh.
John Hirschbeck took the brunt of that foul tip, the home plate umpire, but appears to be okay. I think that got him on the shoulder pad, not on the face mask.
I thought it was the mask.
Let's see. Nope, you're right. It did get him right on the mask.
Hit. Boom. He wears the normal catcher's mask. The last couple of guys we saw, Ed Hickox in New York, had the hockey mask on, and so did Kerwin Danley in Toronto when he was hit with the bat.
Danley had to be taken off on a stretcher after the barrel of the bat snapped in half, and he got hit directly with the barrel, the bottom of the barrel of that bat. John Hirschbeck appears to be fine. There's the 1-2 now. Way outside to even the count. Now the 2-2 from Reyes. Broke his bat. Johnny Peralta throws him out. We head to the bottom of the second here at Progressive Field. No score in Cleveland. Shin-Soo Choo, Johnny Peralta, and Ryan Garko for the Tribe against Gil Mesh, who set him down 1-2-3 in the first inning. Sun is shining, temperature a little on the cool side today, but it will begin to warm up as we go along, shooting for a high temperature today around 60, and then looking at low 70s tomorrow, mid to upper 70s on Saturday, and I believe around the same for Sunday, so it should be a great weekend. Shin-Soo Choo batting cleanup today. Travis Hafner getting the day off. Among other things, Choo is tied for 5th in the American League in walks with 11.
Well, the Indians lead the league in that department with 79. So, they've looked at a lot of pitches. They work their pitchers. That's one thing offensively they do. They try and get that pitcher in trouble. Get to that 100 pitch mark around 5 innings. Last night, Brian Bannister, would he have 14 ground ball outs in that ball game?
I was really surprised at how well he handled the right-handed hitters, too.
Yeah.
0 for 12 in the game.
Well, you had you had DeRosa, Peralta, and Shopik were the right-handed hitters.
Choo lines one toward left center field. This is in the alley. It'll go to the fence. Shin-Soo Choo rolls into second base with the game's first hit and opposite field leadoff double.
Double number 3 for Choo. Did a nice job of staying on that baseball and driving it into the gap in left center field. Watch where the pitch is. Away. Elevated a little bit, but we mentioned it in New York how the good plate coverage that he had. He turned on an inside fastball on Sunday for a home run. Saturday, he hit that ball low and away into left center field for a home run. So right now, he's got very good plate coverage and gets the Indians' first hit.
Now Johnny Peralta trying to snap out of an 0 for 12 skid. And looks at a breaking ball up high. The pitch. It's up high, 2-0. Indians trying to break through and grab the early lead here today. Something that's not easily done against Kansas City. They've given up they came into the series anyway, having given up I believe it was the fewest amount of runs or among the league leaders in the first 3 innings.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
They were 3rd in the AL coming into the series behind the Angels and White Sox, giving up runs in innings 1, 2, and 3. So they've been stingy at the outset, which what that does is it allows your offense to maybe get you the early lead, and the game it's a different game when you play from in front. And we saw that a couple years ago. The Indians had that formula. Get the early lead, get a deep outing from your starter, and add on late.
But it's been the exact opposite for the Indians this year. It's been where the opponents have dominated the early innings. They've been outscored in the first 13-5. If not for that 14-run second inning in New York, you take it away, and the opponents have scored 14, the Indians 16. So that one game they scored 14 runs out of their 16.
Good
so
point. Yep.
Early in the game, the Indians have been playing catch-up for the most part.
Which is another factor as to why they're 5-10, and the Royals come in tied for first at 8-6. There goes Chu. Swing and a miss. Thrown to third. Down the line it goes. Here comes Chu. And the Indians will take the early lead. The throwing error by John Buck allows the Tribe to get on the board first here today.
Boy, good hustle by Chu. He had a great jump. And, as a catcher, you want to make that throw, but Buck overthrows Martin at third base and gives the Indians a run. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. And how can't you love the aggressiveness of Chu? Ball into left field. Chu comes in to score that run on the throwing error. Mesh comes all the way back to get Peralta. They took the chance. 3-0 count. Johnny looking to, you would hope shoot it to the right side, but Chu gets the job done by himself.
It seems like that's at least a half dozen times already this year where the Indians have scored a run without a hit.
Yeah.
Either a hit by a batter with the bases loaded, a wild pitch, a pass ball, or an instance like that there.
That's exactly right. It's the 5th error for the Royals as a team this year. They were rated number 1 coming in with the fewest errors.
Ryan Garco takes a strike. He laid off a pretty nasty breaking ball. That might have been the slider there. I don't know. There's a fastball hit the straightaway center. Coco Crisp cruising back makes the grab. 2 down. Let's go back to the STO studios right now for a Ford Sports update from last night. Al, what do you have?
Well, Matt, in case you weren't up early this morning, the Detroit Tigers have stayed in first place by beating the Angels, and Eric Ibar had a 7th inning to forget, committed an error on the last play. This one, whoops, can't make the catch. That scores a run. Tigers go on to beat the Angels 12-10. They're tied for first in the AL Central. Back to you.
Well, you're right about one thing, Al. I was not up early this morning, so thank you for that update. Ben Francisco drives one fairly deep to left. It's over the head of DeJesus. Short hops the wall, and Ben Francisco into second base with a 2-out double.
Second double of the inning. Mesh left the fastball middle of the plate. Looked like they wanted to try and run it in on Benny, but didn't get it done. So a 2-out double will give Trevor Crowe an opportunity.
Trevor Crowe trying to snap an 0 for 4. 5 for 26 on the year. Looking for a 2-out hit. And maybe just what Trevor Crowe needs is Ben Francisco on base? Because Francisco's been on base 15 times this year and he's scored 9 times. He keeps that up, he'll be setting all kind of records.
Well, whoever's hitting behind him has been doing a good job.
Mesh with a 1-0. Off the glove of Buck. And down to third goes Francisco. Now, I got to believe that's a passed ball based on the one we saw the other day.
Well, we'll wait and see.
But I wonder what the call will be.
I don't know. We'll get the flipper and check it out. Off the glove. Probably a wild pitch.
Looked like a fastball that just took off.
Yeah, look at Buck trying to get it up there. It's way above the umpire's head. Probably a wild pitch.
It is a wild pitch. It's the way it's scored. And I heartily agree. So a runner at third, 2 down now. 2-0 count for Crow. And he had a good cut but shot it back. Got his fastball at 93 miles an hour, but couldn't quite square it up.
Well, that's what you're looking for. 2-0 count. 2-0 fastball. You get it. You don't want to foul it off.
And the 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball down low. 3-1 the count if Crow should reach, as Drupal Cabrera would be next. Swung on and missed, full count. Gil Mesh just rearing back and firing some heat. Here's the payoff pitch now. And another foul back. 2-out hits have been in a premium in this series. The Indians came into this inning 2 for 16 in 2-out hitting situations before the Ben Francisco double.
That's not with runners in scoring position. That's just 2 outs.
2-out hitting, yeah.
This is the situation you want with runners in scoring position. Prolong the inning.
Mesh gets the strikeout, and the inning is over. But the Indians get a run and take a 1-0 lead through 2. Anthony Reyes will face Mike Aviles, Mitch Meyer, and Coco Crisp here in the third. This is game number 16, and that's the fourth time now the Indians have scored in the second inning of a game. And as Rick pointed out, they had the explosion in New York, 14 runs.
Right.
The three other instances, they've scored 1 run. Johnny Peralta has to get rid of it in a hurry, and he just did get him at first base. Time now for today's Alltel text poll question of the game. Which of the following first-place teams is the biggest surprise so far this season in your mind? These Royals? How about out west, the Seattle Mariners, Toronto Blue Jays in the East, or the Florida Marlins in the National League East? Think about it. Text us your answer, 31962. We'll share the results later in the game. Marlins swept by the Pirates, still lead Atlanta by 4 games in the East.
Well, they got off to such a great start. What were they, 10-1?
11-1.
Yeah, they were 11-1.
Toronto off to a great start as well. We saw them already.
They're doing it both pitching and offensively. They're off to a very good start.
3 balls, no strikes now.
We head there in our next road trip.
Detroit,
Toronto, yeah, a little short 2-gamer into the Dome.
And he walked him on 4 straight. So the number 9 hitter, Mitch Meyer, trots down to first. And it brings up Coco Crisp.
Well, Sunday when the Indians wrap up that series with the Twins, all kids 14 and under, you're going to receive a Johnny Peralta wristband headband set. That's pretty cool. Kids also, it's fun day. You get to run the bases after the game. Stop at the plaza before coming into the old ballpark and have some fun.
Here's Coco Crisp, called out on strikes his first time up.
Do you wear your headband when you work out?
No, just my rec specs. Pitch is outside. Martinez going to go to the mound for a brief chat. You know, Reyes had the first 2 outs in the first inning, and then he walked to Jesus and fell behind Butler 3-0. And Butler grounded out on a 3-0 pitch to end the inning. So it just seems like occasionally Reyes either
loses it.
Yeah, either it's a mechanical flaw where he just gets a little bit out of rhythm or out of sync. Victor wants to try to get him right quickly. There goes the runner. Taken for a strike throw, not in time. And an easy steal for Mitch Meyer, his first. So the tying run into scoring position.
And Coco taking all the way. And why you fake a bunt like that is to keep that catcher back once you see that runner going, to keep him behind the plate and don't let him get that throw off any quicker than he has to.
The 1-1. Popped him up. Mark DeRosa, the third baseman, calls for it. And it nearly popped out, but he hung on. 2 away. Had it all the way.
Well, he's got the flip downs. Oh, yeah.
Just caught it in the palm a little bit and popped up. No problem.
Wobbly. He's not used to him coming that softly coming out of the air. He's used to getting him quickly off the ground.
Alberto Callaspo bounced out to second base his first time up. Pitch is up high for ball 1. This is where the Royals have done a decent job in the series. 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position after 2 men are out. Those are the backbreakers. They had one late in the game last night that changed it from a 1-0 game to a 2-0 game. The 2-0 pitch is a chopper foul. Now the 2-1 delivery. Missed down and in with it. 3 balls and a strike. If he loses Callaspo, he'll deal with David DeJesus.
I was going to say, I'd rather pitch to this guy, I think, than DeJesus.
The 3-1 pitch. Rope to right field. Fair ball, tie game. Into the corner it goes as Crow digs it out. And Alberto Callaspo knots the game at 1 apiece with the 2-out RBI hit. Gives him 4 ribbies on the year, extends his hitting streak to 6 in a row. And the Royals are now 3 for 5 with a runner in scoring position and 2 out in the series.
Well, it pays dividends with Callaspo moving up in the lineup. He gets their first hit of the afternoon, but the count was in his favor. So he was sitting on a Reyes fastball. He got his pitch, drilled it into the corner, so good hitting, and now we have a tie game. So Kansas City right back after the Indians scored.
And now he still has to deal with DeJesus with that runner at second base and a foul tip. Too high, 1-1 to count. DeJesus, who drew a walk in the first inning, has a runner at second base with 2 down here. Again, off the mask. This one goes off the mask of Victor Martinez. So both catcher and umpire have taken one square in the face today.
Yep, they sure have.
That'll shake the cobwebs out a little bit.
Yeah, you don't need those on the 12 o'clock games after a night game. You gotta, okay. You know, throughout the year, the catchers really do. They end up taking a beating back there, whether it's foul tips off the legs, the hands, the shoulders, the mask.
The 1-2 pitch. Foul back. David DeJesus trying to put the Royals in front with a 2-out hit here in the third. Anthony Reyes just trying to get out of the inning and keep it a tie game now. Back over the screen. .50 pitches now on the day for Anthony Reyes. 29 for strikes, 21 for balls. And that's going to go out of play as well. It's a pretty good battle going on right here. Another
Good
foul
battle.
ball.
DeJesus, he's a tough out. I mean, and Anthony Reyes is working ahead in the count. He's fouled off 3 straight. 5 straight. He's fouled off 5 straight. I take that back, and 6 in the at-bat. So
Reyes still ahead in the count, 1-2. But he just can't get one past him.
no, he can't.
Jesus checking out all the marks he's made on his bat in this
He's just
particular
saying,
at bat alone.
He's just going to say, why don't you just hit one in play? He's fouled off 6 straight. Look at that. It's amazing, isn't it? That's where Victor, when you put the sign on, you tell him what's coming after a while.
Hit it out there.
Well, and as a pitcher, I mean, it has to get frustrating. You continue to throw strike after strike, and he's not putting anything in play.
Another 1-2 pitch.
There you go.
As Drupal Cabrera gobbles it up, throws him out, but the Royals tie the game on the 2-out RBI hit by Alberto Callaspo. Middle of the third, 1 apiece. Indians Royals tied at 1 as Drupal Cabrera will lead it off for Cleveland. I guess right-hander Gil Mesh. Pitch is outside for ball 1.
Gil Mesh in his last start.
Check swing roller to third. Barehanded grab and throw. Tian takes care of him. 1 away. Hold that thought, partner. Let's check out our Subway fresh face of the game. Down on the farm, it's Wyatt Torregas, catcher at AAA Columbus yesterday. And a 14-4 Clipper win. He clobbered a couple of homers. Batting .261 on the year. Subway, play hard. Eat fresh. You were saying?
I was talking about Gil Mesh in his last start against the Rangers. Exercised some demons against those guys. Got his first career win in Texas. You know, a tough place to pitch. as we all know. But he ended up going 6 innings and only gave up 6 hits, did not allow a run. They beat up Texas pretty good, but he got his first win of the year.
The 1-0. And that got Hirschbeck. So this has been a tough day for the guys behind the plate already. That plate umpire John Hirschbeck has been dinged twice by foul tips. Where'd this one get him?
I think the foot. Goes straight down into the ground. Bingo. Ouch. And, you know, they have protection. So, wisely, John Buck goes out and gives him a little time for that stinging to go away. There you go. There's the numbers. A nice, 93 pitches in his 6 innings. But I guess my point is he struggled against the Indians. He's coming right back. He exercises demons in that ballpark. Hasn't pitched very well against this team or in this ballpark, and has a chance to do it again today.
There's a called strike, 1-2 the count.
And for both these clubs, it's a big game because it's a chance to win the series. And anytime you go into one, you want to go out there and win the series. The Indians with the win on the opening night.
Butler fell down, but he's able to regain his composure and fire a strike to Mesh to get Sizemore.
Not as easy to regain your composure when you know Grady Sizemore is running. If somebody else was going down the line, it's a little different. But once you go down and you're thinking, oh my goodness, at least Gil Mesh was hustling to get over there. The foot goes away. There it is. He slipped, but he says, oh, get rid of it. Grady's running. Normally, you don't have much time.
You could see he just caught the edge of his spikes and went straight down. Mark DeRosa, 0 for 1. Rifles one to right field, right at Mitch Meyer, and the Indians go 1-2-3 for the second time today. Through 3, we're tied at 1. Of the order coming up for Kansas City. Anthony Reyes has made 55 pitches through the first 3 innings. Just 6 first pitch strikes against the 12 batters that he has faced. 15 foul balls. I think most of them by David DeJesus. Helped to run up his pitch count.
7 straight.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. He had 7 straight. I think he had 8 in the at bat foul balls.
Billy Butler on a 3-0 pitch bounced into an inning-ending fielder's choice in the first.
That was a little shocking to me that after he walked with 2 outs, you walk to Jesus, and then you get a 3-0 count. And, Butler really not a home run hitter, doesn't have a home run this year, you give him the green light to swing at a 3-0 pitch and grounds out weakly to short.
The Royals, when you talk about home run hitters, other than Mike Jacobs, who they feel will give them that legitimacy in the power category, it's been a long time since they had a true middle-of-the-order
home run hitter
masher.
Yeah. Well, there's
You've
only been a very few.
1985, when Steve Balboni hit
Balboni.
36 home runs, that gave Kansas City the lowest franchise record in baseball by 5. That's their franchise mark for home runs is 36. Among all the other franchises, that's the lowest total for a franchise record by 5. Now, to take it a step further, since 1985, when he hit the 36 homers, there have been 113 instances of a player hitting 37 or more home runs, but not a single one wearing a Royals uniform.
Well, that's not an easy home run hitting ballpark either now.
Bouncing ball in the hole, right side. Butler will stop at second, and the first two Royals have reached here in the 4th inning. And now Mike Jacobs, their thumper, coming to the plate. Now, Dean Palmer, you may remember, he hit 38 home runs the year before he came to Kansas City.
Right.
And 38 the year after he left Kansas City.
So that was from Texas to KC, then to Detroit, right?
But only 34 in his 1 year with the Royals.
Well, you know where Balboni came from, don't you? New York. He was a big, strong right-handed hitter. I mean, he was like a gorilla. John Mayberry was one of their originals that came up over there as far as power hitters.
There's the set now, and the pitch to Jacobs. Hit high in the air. Nothing new for Jacobs, a high pop. Francisco drops it. And everybody's going to move up, and everybody's safe. Ben Francisco had it in his mitt, and it just popped loose.
Well, it looked like the last couple steps when he went over there, he was scuffling to get it. I don't know if he lost it in the sun. He's got the glasses. It just hits him in the
got him in the palm.
Well, no, it got him down on the base of that glove, and it deflected out. That'll go as an error. Look at the heel of the glove. Deflects out. It didn't look like he lost it in the sun whatsoever.
So the error loads the bases with nobody out for John Buck, who already has a grand slam against the Indians this year.
Well, that's the one thing you can't let start going south on you is your defense.
Tied at 1 here in the 4th, but the door is now wide open for Kansas City. Swung on and missed.
We'll see if Reyes can minimize the damage here in this inning. He started it with a walk. Then the base hit in the air. He'll take a ground ball double play in a hurry.
That's in the dirt, and the count 1-1. You got Billy Butler at third, Mark Teahan at second, and down at first, Mike Jacobs. Now the 1-1 pitch. Missed outside with it. Eric Wedge looking on here as Reyes tries to work out of a big jam. Popped in the air.
This could be interesting.
Coming hard is Trevor Crow. He'll make the catch. Runner tags. He's not coming home. Great throw to the cutoff man by Trevor Crow. And that's out number 1.
Reyes a good job of taking the sting out of the bat of Buck and not allowing that runner to score from third. They couldn't take the chance. Butler not blessed with good speed. It's not very deep to right. So, Trevor, just make sure you get the ball and you hit your cutoff man. He does that. And they're going to leave it up to Aviles.
With where the sun's at today, that's probably a much easier play for the right fielder.
Right. Well, you know, his momentum coming this way than with Grady coming in. He had a little bit farther to run.
And from Sizemore's angle, he's looking more directly into the sun.
You know, and there's times when you're out in the outfield, and I'm sure they'll work it out when they play more together, that even though with nobody on base, Grady may have called him off for that ball, when you have runners in scoring position, it's easier for a throw for him, so let him take the ball in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the same thing can happen over in left field, where the guy's momentum is, it's easier going to the plate.
Out of play, 0-2. Mike Aviles grounded out to short his first time up. Base is loaded. 1-out situation here.
You know, the funny thing, Kansas City in this series, 0 for 7 with a runner on third and less than 2 outs, but 3 for 6 with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs. So they're hitting better with 2 outs than they are with less than 2 outs. And Reyes a chance to, you know, really get out of this inning now. If he could get a ground ball double play and get out of this bases loaded, no out jam, that would be huge.
5 ground ball outs so far for Anthony Reyes. And the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Foul tipped it into the glove of Martinez. His third strikeout today. Aviles is now 0 for his last 13, and there are 2 down.
Boy, he did the right thing, elevated the fastball. He gets the hitter to swing at a bad pitch, and when a guy's scuffling, he will expand his strike zone. Aviles does that right there. You can see it's up and out of the zone for a ball, but down in the count, he chased it.
Now here's Mitch Meyer, who walked on 4 pitches his first time up today. Came around to score the Royals' only run. This time he hits a lazy fly to left, and Francisco grabs it. The Royals leave him loaded. Reyes walks the tightrope. We're still tied at 1. Shin-Soo Choo and Johnny Peralta.
Outfield coach got to talk to the guy, and he's got to explain himself after that drop fly ball. But, you know, no harm done. So, you know, that's it's a lot easier on you when you make a mistake and they don't capitalize. So good job by Reyes. He's saying, hey, Benny, get the spring out of your glove and catch it next time. Let's go.
This will be the 48th pitch of the day for Gil Mesh. He's only had 5 first pitch strikes today. But he has managed to take care of the Indians to this point, allowing just 2 hits. They were both extra base hits in the second inning. Shin-Soo Choo had a leadoff double, stole third, came home on an errant throw by catcher John Buck for the Tribe's only run. There's a strike to the outside edge. Three balls and a strike. Mentioned Gil Mesh, a product of Louisiana. He grew up in the same area of the state that produced Louisiana Lightning, Ron Guidry.
Wow.
Victor, a sky-high pop shallow center. This will be the shortstop of Vilas. 1 away.
Well, you can create your own Indians collectible in 3 easy steps. That's using your favorite photos on Indians.com. You can make your personal memories a collectible. Visit Indians.com today.
Now Choo, who took the ball to the opposite field, split the outfielders for that leadoff double in the second inning.
And ended up stealing third base and scoring the Indians' only run on a throwing error by catcher John Buck. Another one into Hirschbeck.
Hirschbeck having a rough day back there.
Yeah, he is. He's saying, why do I get the noon games? This one went off the plate and went right into the mask. Right behind the plate, right back up and gets him. That's number 3 today. We'll keep count, John.
What can you do? You just throw your hands up.
It's one of those days. I'd go get the balloon protector and start hiding behind it is what I would do. Timeout.
Harken back to the days of Ron Luciano.
Yeah, go get Mr. Efta and have him blow it up.
Certainly has enough hot air to do that.
Oh, goodness. He might be down there listening.
2-1 pitch.
I don't see him outside.
In there for a called strike.
Jack Efta in charge of the umpires. He'll be peeking that head out really soon, looking up here for you.
Now the 2-2 to Choo. He just did get a piece of it. Choo is 2 for 7 in the series. And he got him looking. Payne to the outside corner for his 4th strikeout today. 2 down in the inning. Once again, we've got the Senior PGA Championship Challenge. Keyword of the day is birdie. If you would like a chance to win tickets to the Senior PGA Championship along with autographed flags from previous champs, log on to STOHD.com, click on the contest banner, fill out the entry form with the keyword birdie. 20 winners will be selected. Enter today.
Birdie, I like that word.
Something I see on the golf course about as often as the lunar
occasionally,
eclipse.
but I've seen you have one, a couple.
Inside corner, a called strike, 1-1 the count. Johnny Peralta 0 for his last 13.
He's getting that curveball working. Looked like that breaking ball, variety, backdoor style to Choo. He was able to get him to look at it. Here comes one to the right-hander, Peralta. Big sweeping curveball right on the outside edge.
He didn't go after it. You can hear Hirschbeck say no, he didn't.
But there's the teaser. You get ahead of him. Then he took a little bit off, put a little more tilt to it. See if he could get him to chase it out of the zone. Peralta wanted to, but did not.
And on the 2-2, he struck him out looking. Mesh is fan 5. He sets him down in order for the 3rd time today. Wireless. Choose who you call for free with My Circle. Any number, any network. Back here on the lakefront, we're tied at 1. Moving to the 5th inning. Coco Crisp to lead it off 0 for 2 today. Takes the first pitch, strike. Coco, originally a 7th round pick of the Cardinals back in 1999. Traded by the Indians to the Red Sox, and now in his first year with the Royals. And he bangs a base hit into right field. That's his first hit today. It's his 5th hit in the series.
Second straight inning, they've had that leadoff man aboard. I would not be surprised to see Coco run. It looks like Reyes. It's off-speed pitch. Maybe up a little bit, but Coco just rolls over on it, but it finds the hole. He had Meyer back in the 3rd inning stealing after a walk and stole it pretty easily, so I would not be surprised to see Coco run it here.
Alberto Callaspo red hot. He's hit in 6 straight. He doubled in the Royals' only run back in the 3rd. There he goes. Yeah. Pitch out. Martinez throw to second base, and it's still not in time.
He had a good jump on the pitch out. You know, a lot of times when you call the pitch out, that's the second time that an Indians pitcher has pitched out and they've stolen the base. You go out. Look how many steps Coco gets on the pitch out. So, yeah, actually, again, even on the pitch out, you're stealing it off of Reyes. So they see they can run on him, and they wasted no time. Now they can go to work and try and move the runner.
Callaspo, no sign of a bunt. Looked at a ball in the dirt, 2-0. Callaspo is now 10 for 20 during his tear.
This is the 6th 2-0 count for Anthony today.
Now it's 3-0. Callaspo, Venezuelan native. Originally signed by the Angels back in 2001. He's also spent time with the Diamondbacks. He walks on 4 pitches. And now there are 2 on with nobody out. And David DeJesus coming to the plate. Now Reyes got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam in the 4th.
Well, and it was the bottom part of the lineup he got out of it with. Now he's going to have to deal through the middle part of the lineup.
Here is David DeJesus, who had a tremendous at bat his last time up. Turn towards second and nothing doing. Mentioned earlier that DeJesus is the longest tenured Royal. He's been with them since '03, and he is signed through 2010 with a club option for 2011. Throw to second, and it's in the dirt, and Coco just did beat it back in time.
Well, look, Peralta did a nice job. That ball short hopped him.
Coco looks like he may have
jammed something.
Hurt his wrist, or was he holding his chest?
Maybe the chest. Let's see. See, he might have been thinking third base.
I tell you what, look, he landed right on his chest.
Yeah, but he wasn't going that fast. He was thinking stealing because his momentum was going to third base.
Good off-speed delivery, 0-1.
He's still clutching it. Yeah, you're right. It may be a muscle up in that pectoral area.
Yeah. Well, it just looked like the way he landed right on it. Instead of landing hand first,
see,
boom.
Yeah, okay. He put it down there, and it's something in there is hurting. See, that's why anytime, I don't care if you steal a base, you're trying to go in head first. You take a chance going in head first with your hands, your fingers. And right there, you see he just landed funny. Maybe a little strain in one of the muscles there. Who knows? Hopefully it'll keep him from running.
DeJesus bunts it out in front of the mound.
Good job.
Reyes takes the out at first. One away. Crisp to third. Callaspo to second.
You know, I don't mind that play if you're Kansas City because you're trying to get your pitch of the lead. Gil Mesh, who's pitching a good ball game. You've got the first two guys on, and even though DeJesus is one of your better hitters, move the runner along. They do. Now they have an opportunity, second and third, for your cleanup hitter to try and give you the lead.
Billy Butler, 0 for 1, walked his last time up.
That's the first sacrifice for DeJesus this year. Normally you wouldn't ask your guy to do that, but when you've got a guy on the mound like Gil Mesh, give him the lead. That's what you're trying to do.
Missed outside for ball one.
And the Indians are going to give a run here with the infield back. Coco at third base with good speed, so he'll go on anything on the ground.
And now it's 2-0.
Seventh 2-0 count now for Reyes.
Off the end of the bat, Reyes going to look the runner back. Now the runner's going to come home, throw to the plate, and it's in the dirt. It gets away from Martinez, and Coco Crisp scores to give the Royals the lead. I'm not sure a good throw would have had him, but it would have been a very close play.
Well, you just give your – I'll tell you what, Coco Crisp on the hustle. A terrific job at challenging. Reyes looks him back. He does a good job to get Butler to hit it out in front of the plate. But as he throws, he's going to force Garco to make a good throw. You're right. Even if the throw's upstairs, look at Coco. He pretended he was going back. He goes in. That's just good hustle. Goes in head first, so that pec muscle must not be hurting him. The Royals will take a 2-1 lead on just pure hustle.
You know, this is nitpicking, and it's easy to second guess from up here. But with Butler running, Reyes probably could have taken a little longer to look Coco Crisp back.
That's true. That's true. But
and that may have helped his cause. I don't know.
Well, it may have. But, you know, Coco didn't go back. He just put his arm out like he was going back. You know, made him think like he's heading back to third base and then started to run. I'll tell you, it gives Butler, an RBI in that situation. And That's how the Indians scored their first run today. Hustle, stealing third base, the ball thrown away. This one was you get an out, but just good hustle by Coco.
So 2 down with that runner at third base, and the Royals in front 2-1.
And actually, if you go back and look at that play, Kai Espo overran it. He was heading to third base thinking Coco was going, and he was stopped. So he could have ran himself into an out. E3 and an RBI? They'll change that. That's got to be just a ground out, fielder's choice 1-3, and you got to give the guy a chance for hustling. Well, that's how they scored, but
you can't assume that he would have been out at home
perfect
plate.
Right. Even when we look at it at the replay, if the throw's up, it would have been bang bang. You can't assume he's going to throw him out, and that was a bad throw.
Fastest guy in the field coming home.
I don't know. I'll have to call my friend Chumley to see if what he scores it.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. And Tien rifles it into the glove of Ryan Garco, who makes a nice grab to end the inning. But the Royals, on the hustle of Coco Crisp, have grabbed a 2-1 lead. To the Indians front office, like Susie Giuliano, who stopped by to say hello here today.
Always nice to see Susie.
Absolutely. She's not nearly as bundled up as the folks in the crowd here today. It's a gorgeous looking afternoon, but as I mentioned at the outset, still a little on the cool side. Game time temperature 45 degrees. Weather folks say we're heading for a high of around 60 today. Ryan Garco flied to center his first time up. Tribe on the short end of a 2-1 score here. Gil Mesh now working with the lead. It's the first time he's had the lead today. Indians scored first in the second. Royals tied it in the third. Now a 1-1. Way outside.
Well, we'll see how Gil Mesh handles the lead now, because what he did do after they shut down the Royals with bases loaded, nobody out, he didn't score. He came down and pretty much mowed down the middle part of the lineup.
Ryan Garco sends a long drive foul down the left side. 2 balls, 2 strikes. tap foul by Garco to stay alive.
That's a good pitch. I mean, he does a nice job just to stay alive there, Matt. I mean, that's a pitcher's pitch, maybe even out of the strike zone. But good hitters find a way, to foul off tough pitches to stay alive. Look at that. Breaking ball down, and I mean going down. Hard to tell if it was a strike, but maybe too close to take. But he does a good job to get a piece of it.
Now the 2-2 pitch. And Ryan Garco with a one-hop laser over there to first, backhanded by Butler, and that is out number 1.
Well, our good friend Bob Feller is going to make an appearance at Saturday's game. Twins in town to autograph copies of his new book. It's titled Bob Feller's Little Blue Book of Baseball Wisdom, and I'm sure it's got some great wisdom in it. Purchase a game ticket and visit section 156. That'll be from 6 to 8, and you can have your book signed by Bob. So his little blue book of baseball wisdom on Saturday. I don't see him today. He might be in this tractor at home taking out some trees.
Ben Francisco looks at the ball outside. He doubled in his only at bat today, back in the second inning. Catches the outside corner for a called strike to even the count at 1-1. Nails the outside corner, 1-2, and Ben Francisco questioning the eyesight of John Hirschbeck. Hirschbeck's probably not in the mood for any second guessing today after
not
the foul tips he's been hit with.
No kidding.
Ben yanks one down the left field line, foul.
Hirschbeck's been peppered like a dartboard. Ben, another good swing on the ball, but just a hair out in front.
Off the end of the bat, Cayespo throws him out. 2 down. Check out our all-care dental indentures Smiling Easy Cam here today. Day baseball, lots of youngsters in attendance here today. Enjoying a little time in the sun. With 17 locations across northeastern Ohio, All Care Dental Indentures make seeing the dentist easy. 2 down now for Trevor Crow. Looks at a ball up high. Two balls and no strikes. High pop. Center field, tough sun field for Coco Crisp, but he's got this one in his sights, and the Indians go in order again. 10 in a row set down by Gilmesh. 2-1 Royals through 5. lead. It will be Mike Jacobs, John Buck, and Mike Aviles to bat for Kansas City. Jacobs reached on an error by Ben Francisco his last time up. And the pitch is down low for ball one. Talked earlier about the power outage in Kansas City. Every team except Minnesota has had at least one player hit more than 36 homers since 1985, except for Kansas City. And Texas has had 18 guys do it.
Well,
Mark McGwire hit 38 in 1998 on the road. So it's been a long time for Royals fans to really have a power hitter that they could get excited about.
well, and I don't think this is the 35 or 40 guy that you're looking for here at the plate, but I think he's got legitimate power.
You know, the 35 to 40 mark is going to go back to being
The norm?
a lot tougher than we saw through the 90s.
Well,
Swung on and missed, and a big strikeout for Anthony Reyes, one down here in the sixth. Check out our great clip of the game from last night's ball game. Cliff Lee turned in a terrific performance for the Indians. He went 8 innings. He was very sharp. He allowed just 2 runs, one in the first inning on a sac fly, and one late in the ball game on a 2-out flare that fell in shallow center field that scored another run. But he was a tough luck loser last night. 4 strikeouts now for Anthony Reyes. John Buck to the plate, 0 for 2. Tapper foul. And a swing and a miss. Did a nice job of keeping that ball on the outside part of the plate. Jensen Lewis warming in the Indians bullpen. Now the 1-2. .95 pitches on the day for Anthony Reyes. Got him. 5th strikeout for Reyes. He's fanned the first 2 here in the 6th. Time now for our direct energy, bringing the gas sequence. Back to the 4th inning. Mike Aviles at the dish.
And it was a big strikeout at the time for Anthony Reyes. He's got the bases loaded. You have 1 out. He started him off change-up, foul ball, and goes at him with a little fastball, attacks him with another change-up, and gets him with a high fastball.
Direct Energy offers simple solutions for your natural gas supply needs, and that is the 4th time today that John Hirschbeck has taken a foul ball. And this is the first time today he's gone down to a knee.
I mean, here comes...
he's saying to himself, what in the world did I get out of bed for today?
It's hard to figure out. I mean, you know, the first couple you almost sort of chuckle and say, well, it's one of those days. But, I mean, for the continuation, it is. It's what's going on.
And there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's just pure bad luck.
Rick Jamieson out.
I mean, Victor Martinez, every catcher does everything they can to protect the umpire. But on a foul tip, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Let's take a look at the day that John Hirschbeck has had so far. Maybe we should. There's the first one. There's the second one. There's the third
one to the mask.
And there's the fourth
another one. So 3 times he's taken a shot to the mask today.
Yeah, that's, I mean, and down goes Hirschbeck.
I mean, if this was a heavyweight fight, I think they'd say that's enough.
Call it TKO.
That's enough.
He's looking for his vision right now.
Rick Jamieson checking him out there.
He just needs a little time to clear the cobwebs. I mean, it has been a tough day to this point.
John's looking at his mask.
Get the smelling salts out. You just need a little time. Well, everybody, you sit and wait, but boy, oh boy.
Hirschbeck, who resides in the Youngstown area, worked the 1995 World Series here at Jacobs Field between the Indians and the Atlanta Braves.
Well, let me remind you that every Wednesday home game will feature a local charity, and ticket sales will raise funds. For every ticket sold, $1 will be donated to the charity like they did last night. And next Wednesday, when the Red Sox are in town to fill a house for the Salvation Army of Greater Cleveland. They had a great one last night that raised over $25,000 for the American Red Cross. So Wednesday will be Salvation Army.
All right, ready to go again. The 0-1 pitch to Aviles. Low and away. Two balls and a strike. Reyes struck out the first two hitters of the inning. This will be his 100th pitch of the day, trying to work himself through 6. Missed wide with it, 3-1. Mitch Meyer, the number 9 hitter, waits on deck. There's a base hit into center field. Sizemore will cut it off. And a 2-out single for Mike Aviles will bring Mitch Meyer to the dish here. Hey, this Saturday, stop by the Winking Lizard in Lakewood for the ClevelandFan.com and STO draft party. Free bowling from noon until 6. Beer and food specials. 35 televisions. Free Wi-Fi for those who want to bring their laptop to follow the draft. Plus, Sports Time Ohio and Coors Light prizes. Don't miss the NFL draft party this Saturday at the Winking Lizard in Lakewood. The mother of all draft parties.
Go get yourself a Kilkenny draft.
Meeting of the mound over. Reyes goes back to work now. Trying to take care of Mitch Meyer and get out of this jam. Boy, the Indians' offense has been absolutely shut down by Royals pitching here over the last 2 days. Shut out last night, held to 1 run on 2 hits through 5 innings here today. Meanwhile, Indians pitching hasn't done a bad job themselves, limiting the Kansas City to 2 runs last night and 2 runs through the first 5 innings here today. Missed inside with it. Mitch Meyer played at the University of Toledo. Michigan native. 2 balls, no strikes. Meyer was a catcher at Toledo. He led the MAC in stolen bases as a catcher.
Kansas City has something about catchers that can run, don't they? Remember John Wathan stole over 30 bases in his day?
It is rare. And I mean, he's a guy who, since they've converted him to the outfield, he can run and cover a lot of ground. Actually, they say his best position is probably in center field. You don't see many catchers converted to center fielders.
He should have been a catcher there if he's going to be a center fielder. But right now, Ray is digging himself a hole. This will be his last hitter, I would think. Should Meyer reach. Jensen Lewis is up, ready to go. Second time today when he's had 2 outs. Actually, the third time. He walked a guy in the first, gave up a double in the third, and a single here with 2 outs.
Runner goes on a 3-1 pitch, hit in the air. Sizemore. He is under it, and the inning is over. Anthony Reyes, 6 innings. He's allowed 2 runs. He's on the short end as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Indians trying to shake loose the cobwebs against Gil Mesh. He's had them all tied up today. Anthony Reyes went 6 innings today, allowed 2 runs, but he's on the short end of the score right now. Gil Mesh, meanwhile, has retired 10 in a row. The last Indians hitter to reach was Ben Francisco, who doubled with 2 outs back in the 2nd inning. The only base runners for the Indians today have been the 2 hits allowed by Mesh. They both came in the 2nd inning.
Well, and they don't have a man driving in the run. It was Chu who stole a base and then Buck threw the ball into left field for the Indians to score. So he could very easily have zeros on the board.
1 ball, 1 strike. They count on Asdrubal Cabrera. Meanwhile, Mesh has only made 78 pitches to this point. Down low, 2-1. Asdrubal grounded out his first time up. He's hit in 7 of his last 9 games, batting .414 during that time.
Mesh did come in here last year against the Indians and pitch 7 shutout innings in an early May game to go on for a win. Had 10 strikeouts in Kansas City in September. But then you remember that 15-1 game in April. They got him.
Butler fields it at first, takes it himself to record the out, 1 away. Another look at today's All-Tel text poll question of the game. Who's been the biggest surprise this year so far in first place? The Royals, the Mariners, the Blue Jays, the Marlins. Text your answer to 31962. We'll have the results coming up. Grady Sizemore steps in 0 for 2. Grady Sizemore and Victor Martinez homered in the series opener, but the long ball has been absent from the Indians' arsenal here in the last 2 games. Swung on and missed. 1-1 to count. Grady 2 out of 10 in the series to this point. This ball hit well to center. Crisp back. Front edge of the track pulls it down. 2 down. We go to the studios for a Ford Sports update.
Man, Rick, here's a play in St. Louis that you see an awful lot of times, but rarely the result. Kyle Loesch fakes to third, and he's called for the balk. The umpire says he stepped home first. Watch it. He did. That scored the first run for the Mets. Pujols the homer in the bottom of the first. They're even at 1. Back to you.
Yeah, that was not a real good-looking move there by Kyle Loesch.
Well, I guess it comes down to deceiving the runner.
You know, the funny thing about that, you can get into a discussion of the very nature of a pickoff move is to deceive the runner to get him to, make him think you're not throwing over there.
Well, and then you have to have a pause or a hesitation, from the stretch. B.J. Ryan doesn't.
Bouncer to third. This is incredible. Gil Mesh mowing him down. 13 in a row set down by the Royals right-hander. KC on top through 6. .com. 2-1 Royals on top. Anthony Reyes exits. Jensen Lewis enters.
Not a bad job by Anthony Reyes today in his 6 innings. Gave up just 4 hits. 2 runs. He walked 4, struck out 5. Jensen Lewis coming on now. 8 punch-outs in his 7 2/3 innings. And he's going to get to face the top of the lineup and try and keep this a 1-run ball game here in the top half of the 7th inning.
Coco Crisp will lead it off. He's had a hit, a run scored, a stolen base today. 5 hits in the series. One of the reasons why the Royals are in first place coming into today with a winning mark of 8-6 is they've had good starting pitching, so the games are close. And then from the 7th inning on, they do their most damage offensively.
Well, they have the best starting pitching in the league, so they're going to keep you in the ball game.
Innings 1 through 6, Rick, they're hitting .236 with 8 dingers. from the 7th inning on, they're batting .288 with 6 home runs.
Well, then they're looking at their part of the ball game offensively. But what happens, I think, consistently when you go out there and it's early in the year, when you don't have to score many runs, you find a way to manufacture. You get that 3 runs in a ball game when you need it.
Well, you take last
and they
night's
had
game.
3 shutouts, so I mean, you only need 1 in the 3 shutouts that they have. Out of their
last
8
night's
wins.
game, for example, was a 1-0 game, 7th inning. They add on. Now it's a 2-run game. You go to the 9th against a tough closer. Bigger hill to climb. Perfect bunt. Lewis plants, fires, and got him. Oh, I tell you what, terrific play by Jensen Lewis, because that was a nice bunt by Coco Crisp. Lewis planted hard on that right foot and fired a seed to first to get him.
You don't expect a guy to bunt 3-1. So Lewis was heads up. He comes with the bare hand. He slipped. That's an excellent play. For a guy that can get down the line, an excellent play by Jensen Lewis to field his position and keep that leadoff man off first. Good play.
And now that brings up Alberto Callaspo.
I had a feeling to start that inning. I thought that Coco was going to bunt, but after he swung at that first pitch, it left my mind. But he brought it back on a 3-1 count.
Kevin Seitzer may be talking to him about that offensive approach right there.
Well, his job is to get on base.
Up high, 1-1 to count.
Yeah, but he's thinking, well, if you get the 3-1 count, maybe you can hit a double. You won't have to steal.
Pulls it over to first. Ryan Garco. Well, thought about it.
Give
Took
me
himself.
Fake.
2 down. Anthony Reyes today went 6 strong, struck out 5. He did walk 4, and one of those walks came around to score against him. Got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam in the 4th inning.
That was huge.
And the first 2 were on base in the 5th inning.
And the second run that scored was actually like a fielder's choice. How Coco, it was all hustle.
That was close to possibly being an inning-ending double play and getting out of it altogether. Fly ball to right ends it. And the Royals go 1-2-3. Stretch time here at Progressive Field. It's 2-1 Kansas City. Bottom half of the 7th inning here. 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Tribe. Victor Martinez, Shin-Soo Choo, and Johnny Peralta. Gil Mesh has been dynamite so far. 86 pitches on the afternoon. He's retired 13 in a row.
Well, and still just at that 86 pitch mark. So he's been very, very good today. 2 hits. And you go over last night, the Indians had 5 hits in the ball game. So that pitching, the starting pitching at Kansas City, you can see why it's rated number 1 in the league to this point. It's done a great job. And we haven't seen Zach Greinke.
Major League Baseball scores courtesy of Wendy's. It's way better than fast food. It's Wendy's. Martinez steps out. Victor hit one off the end of the bat, was thrown out by the catcher John Buck in the first, popped up to the shortstop in the fourth. Down low, 2 balls and a strike. When Gil Mesh was promoted to the big leagues in 1999 by Seattle, they gave him the number 55 to wear. He didn't really think much about it. And then after the season was over, he returned home and was hanging out with his mom and dad. Told him about getting the number 55. His mom went to the attic, busted out an old Ziploc bag, opened it up, pulled out a newborn red and white jersey with the number 55 on it.
Get out of here. Things to come.
Baker bouncer to first. Mesh covers. 1 down. You can join Jim Donovan, Doug Deacon, Tony Grossi, and Andre Knott tonight at 6:30 for a special draft edition of Sunday Strategy. It's tonight at 6:30 only on STO and STO HD.
So she had that jersey for him when he was a baby.
And then, as if that weren't enough and weird, she brought out another Ziploc bag, a little bit bigger, he says, and it was my first beach blanket, he said. And on the beach blanket was a pitcher standing on the mound wearing the number 55.
That's a little scary. I thought he took the number 55 because he signed a 5-year deal for $55 million in Kansas City. That's a little that's a little scary.
Some things, as they say, are just meant to be.
Well, I guess it is. I did not know that. First beach blanket. Must have been an only kid.
Well, there's a good chance of that. Because I'll bet if you went to my mom's house, she's probably got a lot of my stuff, too, in Ziploc bags.
Well, it would never happen at my house. It was handed down, and it turned into a diaper by the time my brothers got it.
1-2, chopper foul. Now, your number, did you get to pick your number, Rick, or was Jimmy Warfield handed to you?
No, it wasn't Jimmy Warfield. It's what they have. I mean, at the big league level, Cy Bynack, as a matter of fact, I was 53 in spring training. Your first time coming to camp, you get a number, and by the time you get to the big leagues, that's what they had in your locker. You didn't get to ask for it.
So Jimmy gave you your nickname and Cy gave you your number.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Chu strikes out. Half dozen punch outs for Mesh. 15 in a row. He has retired here today.
Well, an Indians game always makes a great group outing, and groups of 25 or more, you're going to be able to receive discounts of up to half off ticket prices. Just call 216-420-HITS and organize a group outing down here at the ballpark at Progressive Field.
Now Johnny Peralta 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts on the day. A little bit too high. This is one of those games where Gil Mesh has been so dominant. It almost feels like you're being blown out, and yet the Indians are only one swing of the bat away from tying this game up. Johnny Peralta who was one of the Indians' best offensive run producers and performers a year ago, in an early season slump right now.
Well, it looks like when Johnny struggles, he has a tendency to try and pull the ball too much. I think a couple times last night, and they didn't have many opportunities. He had a couple with two guys on and nobody out, and he got a little pull happy. And Johnny's a guy that hits so well the other way.
Full count. Fouls a 3-1 back.
You know, he lets that ball track deep into the zone. He hits it from that second base side over to the first baseline, and there's just a high fastball, tough to get on top of.
.100 pitches on the day for Mesh, 61 for strikes, and he strikes out Peralta, his 7th of the day. He has retired 16 Indians in a row.
In any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
We move along now to the 8th inning here at Progressive Field. Billy Butler, Mark Teahan, Mike Jacobs to face Jensen Lewis, with Kansas City in front 2-1. Lewis set him down 1-2-3 in the 7th. Missed outside for ball 1. It was Billy Butler's at bat that is the difference in this ball game back in the 5th inning. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, and 1 out after the sacrifice bunt laid down by David DeJesus. Butler hit a little dribbler just to the right of the mound. Anthony Reyes jumped off, fielded it. He briefly looked Coco Crisp back at 3rd. Crisp simply froze in the position he was in.
Yeah, watch Coco. He's standing still. He never went back to the base. It was almost like a fake look. He just turned that way, never truly looked him back. But that's still good hustle on Coco's part. I mean, really good hustle. And it was a tough throw for Garco. And the error on that play was because the guy went from 2nd to 3rd, but I don't understand. He was going to go from 2nd to 3rd anyway. It was 2nd and 3rd when Coco was coming home. So when he comes home, you automatically go to 3rd base as a base runner. I still don't understand the error.
Struck him out looking. Jensen Lewis pumps one past Billy Butler. 1 down here in the 8th. We'll go back to the STO studios for a Ford Sports Update. Here's Al.
All right, guys. Well, Milwaukee and Philadelphia were battling to a scoreless tie until the top of the fourth inning. Ryan Braun, a two-run homer to left. His fourth of the year. Brewers on the board. They have a 2-0 lead. They just moved to the top of the fifth inning in Philly. Back to you.
Here's Mark Teahan, 1 out of 3 on the day. In the air, deep right field. It's over Crow's head. Hits the base of the fence. Now he drops the ball. Teahan's going for third. And he's going to get in there without a play. That's going to be a double and an error. And now the Royals have a huge insurance run standing at third base.
Boy, the defense is a little shaky here this afternoon. I mean, you're getting into one-run ball games. You're getting shut down. You can't afford to give any extra bases, let alone anything else. This is a play. It's going to be a double all the way. Over the head of Trevor Crow. Nothing you could do. Went to pick it up with his glove and missed it. Knocked it away, and that enabled Teahan to go from second to third base. So now the infield's going to have to come in and try and cut it off. So that'll be a double and an error on Crow and right.
Interesting in that they're going to pass on Mike Jacobs, who has struck out twice today.
Well, you get the right-hander out there, you go. You know, with the odds, you put him on, you've got a double play situation. You can drop back Johnny and Cabrera. And Lewis can go for the strikeout or the double play ball.
So here's ball 4 coming up to Jacobs, and now John Buck, 0 for 3, will be the hitter.
Well, bring your Pepsi cans to any Indians team shop or the Progressive Field box office, and you can receive half-off tickets to any April or May home games. This offer includes bleachers, mezzanine, and upper box seats. Look for specially marked Pepsi cans at a store near you.
All right, so infield in with Royals at the corners and 1 out. John Buck struck out his last time up. First pitch strike. Both Peralta and Cabrera, they're not at the cut of the grass, so they're back enough that if they get a one-hopper at them, they can still turn a double play.
Well, with Buck, he's not a fast runner, and if you're really looking for a ground ball, it's cutting down on your angle if it's not right at you.
Close pitch. It's called a ball, 1-1.
With faster runners at the plate, I could see where that infield plays where they're at right now. The one thing you got to watch for is the little bloopers in the center part of the diamond, with that infield in like that. Cuts down their range.
Oh, what a grab by DeRosa, and now he'll throw to first, and they've got a double play. That'll end the inning. I don't think Mike Jacobs ever saw the ball. Well, I tell you what, Mark DeRosa reached out and snared what looked like at least a base hit, if not extra bases. And it remains a 2-1 game as we go to the bottom of the 8th here at Progressive Field. The grab, the turn, the double play. right in front of them, not letting them get out to a big lead. They got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam back in the 4th inning. And then in the 8th inning, 1st and 3rd, 1 out, they get the line out double play.
Well, Mesh right back out there. I thought they were going to go to Cruz because he was getting loose last inning in the bullpen, but he's been on fire. He's retired the last 16. He's had an excellent curveball today.
In this series, the Indians have had a tough time getting the leadoff man aboard. Leadoff hitters have gone 3 for 21 with a run scored. And usually if you get your leadoff man aboard, you get a chance to score some runs. There's a long fly ball, right field, racing back over the head of Meyer. Garco on his way to second base, and he'll go in sliding head first with a double. So the Indians do indeed get that leadoff man aboard for the 2nd time today, and the last time they got the leadoff man aboard was way back in the 2nd inning, and they scored their only run of the game, and that snaps a string of 16 in a row set down by Gil Mesh.
Well, he fell behind Garco, and Garco hit the ball on the nose in his last at-bat. He gets the Indians' 3rd hit, and all 3 hits have been doubles. So they will pinch run him. Tony Graffinino will go in, and then to the mound, it's time for a pitching change. So good hitting by Ryan Garco.
Graffinino, and that is,
wow.
No, he's going to stay right with him.
Go right ahead. Okay.
Trey Hillman went out.
Well, he's pitched so well, and this is his 3rd game out of his 4 starts that he's pitched at least 7 innings. You got Cruz, the righty, Mayhay, the lefty, and I'm sure they're both ready to go. They're looking at the lineup card to see what's going on.
The batter is Ben Francisco. He doubled way back in the 2nd inning. So all 3 hits today for the Tribe have been 2-baggers. Squares lays down a beautiful bunt. Mesh fields it, off balance throw, it gets away. Indians trying to tie it. Here's the throw to the plate. Graffinino is out at the dish. Oh, Alberto Callaspo was right there to back up the errant throw, and he made a good throw to the plate, and John Buck applies the tag.
That was a heads-up play by Callaspo. The throw by Mesh was up the line, and he got over there to hustle. Great play by the second baseman, and Graffinino a little too aggressive when you're down 1. Great bunt. That's going to go as a sacrifice. You see the throws wild. What a heads-up play. You know, maybe Graffinino didn't even see him back there, not thinking that the second baseman would be there, but he's there in plenty of time to get the throw home, and they retire Graffinino at the plate, and then Francisco has to stay at first base.
It looked like Joel Skinner was saying wait. It was hard to tell, but Graffinino may have just been going all the way on his own when he saw the ball skip past the first baseman.
Base hit. Okay, base hit on the great bunt. And then it's 1-4-2 on the putout.
One more look as Graffinino comes up. He's watching the play. And it looked like Joel Skinner was saying, whoa, whoa.
Well, you have to be sure because there's nobody out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got your job is to get into third base with less than 2 outs. I mean, he was in the scoring position. So the next thing you know, he keeps going. I don't know if he picked up where the second baseman was or not. There's a heads-up play.
So a runner at first with 1 out. And now Travis Hafner will pinch hit for Trevor Crowe. Trey Hillman went out to the mound to make sure Mesh was all right after fielding that throw near the line. And he is going to stay with him. 105 pitches for Mesh. Popped him straight up behind the plate. Back to the screen goes Buck, and he's out of real estate. Francisco, the runner at first, has 1 steal on the year. With Hafner at the plate, unlikely you'd see him try to run here because Hafner can put you in front with 1 swing.
Absolutely.
Draws another throw. Royals do have the shift on, even with the runner at first. 3 infielders on the right side, leaving Martin by his lonesome on the left. Outfield deep, no double zone. Fouled out of play. If Hafner does find a pitch he can drive to the opposite field, there's a gap in left center that, no double zone or not, he's going to get a double. Tying run at first base with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. 0-2 pitch to Hafner. And this is a base hit into right field. Francisco's going to hit second, turn, and burn for third. Meyer's throw is cut off. And we've got Indians at the corners with 1 out in the 8th.
Well, he speeds up the bat. That big curveball that's been so successful for him on the 0-2 count. Hafner's able to pick on a hanger and drive it to right field. That pitch up out of the way too high in the zone for Gilmesh. So now Francisco's challenging all the way to third. Good hustle. The runner's at the corners. It'll bring up Cabrera, and let's see if he'll go out and get his starting pitcher.
Doesn't appear that he's coming.
No, they have the righty. They have the lefty. Maybe Mayhay is waiting on deck for Sizemore in the hole. But only 1 out. A good chance for the Indians to tie the game. They had a man thrown out at home plate for the first out.
As Drupal Cabrera 0 for 2 today, he's put the ball on the ground twice. High and wide, ball 1. A couple of former Mariners squaring off right here. Mesh against Cabrera. Fouled back. 1-1 to count. Boy, we've had a lot of balls tipped, fouled. John Hirschbeck has seen 4 of them up close and
don't
personal.
mention his name. He hasn't had one in a couple innings. He doesn't want his name mentioned again.
We had David DeJesus foul off 8 in 1 at bat. Another foul ball out of play. 1-2 the count. Talk about Gil Mesh being the kind of guy who doesn't show his emotions, but they say underneath the calm exterior, he is a fierce competitor, a well-known perfectionist that sometimes can be his own worst enemy. The 1-2 pitch, fouled back.
Well, Buck going out in front of the plate just in case anything should happen if the runner takes off at first. That's not going to be the case, I wouldn't think. Not when you have Grady on deck. Hafner's at first base. They're looking for Cabrera to find a way to get this guy in. Is he going to see the high fastball or a low curveball?
The 1-2. Slow chopper towards
They're
second.
going to get it in.
Callaspo kicks it. Everybody's safe. Indians tie the game. As Drupal Cabrera picks up his 8th RBI on the year, Ben Francisco scoring. We are tied at 2. Go-ahead run now into scoring position. And right now, if you're Gil Mesh, you're probably ready to spit nails. You work so hard all game long, and now a little 45-foot beater into the ground leaves you with, at best, a no decision now.
Well, there's a play. Callaspo really, I think, maybe rushed it a little bit with Cabrera running. This guy's going from a win to possibly a loss.
He departs. We are tied at 2, bottom of the 8th, with 1 out. Here in the 8th inning, 3 hits, and then the error by Callaspo, allowing the Indians to tie the game at 2. Ron Mayhay, left-hander, coming on to face Grady Sizemore with the go-ahead run now at second base.
Mayhay is 1-0 this year. He has pitched in 2 games against the Indians. He's pitched an inning and 2/3, giving up 3 hits and a couple of earned runs. They have an opportunity. Both the runners belong to Gilmesh. Still just 1 out, and that out occurred at home plate on a heads-up play by Callaspo, who just booted the last ball. It's been a strange game. Pitching has been good.
Swung out and missed. Sizemore going after that first pitch. Ron Mayhay, the former minor league outfielder turned pitcher. Originally drafted by the Red Sox back in 1991. The 0-1 pitch. Hit well. Deep right field. Meyer back. It is gone to Souvenir City. Grady Sizemore with a 3-run blast. And the Indians take the lead. Unbelievable turn of events here in the 8th inning. 5 straight Indians have reached here in the inning. 4 of them have scored. And the Indians now lead it 5-2.
Well, a 3-run homer seems to be Grady's friend. This is going to be our Pepsi home run replay. Gets a ball out over the plate and gives him some swinging room. Looked like a little slider, maybe. That ball is not coming back. The Indians put 4 spot on the board, make it a 5-2 ball game. And 4 of those runs belong to Gilmesh.
Well, if I said he was mad enough to spit nails before he left, he's really hopping now. Here's DeRosa, a little chopper hit towards third, going to kick foul.
Grady knew it, and once that ball leaves, the Indians win it. There you go. That a baby.
Well, when a guy has handcuffed you all day like Mesh has, Rick, it's got to feel pretty good for an offense to finally break loose. Not only that, but take it back to yesterday when Brian Bannister shut him down.
Well, he sent his starter back out there for the 8th. Started with a Garco double. They did luck out. They made their first out at home plate, with Tony Graffinino pinch running for Garco.
So you're saying he's left himself open to a lot of second guessing.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I have no problem when you send to start this inning. Gil Mesh had retired 16 straight hitters.
What a turn of events here in the 8th for Cleveland. Now Rafael Betancourt has sat down, and Kerry Wood is starting to heat up as DeRosa sends a sky-high pop. Meyer fighting the sun. He loses it, and a center fielder, Coco Crisp, made the catch as he went to the seat of his pants. 2 down, it'll bring up Victor Martinez. A little tight on the Alltel text poll between the Mariners and Royals is the biggest surprise. 33% thinks Seattle. I mean, a team nobody thought was going to go anywhere this year. But they're out to a great start so far. Here's Kerry Wood getting ready. Victor Martinez 0 for 3 here today will step in. And he sends a single up the middle into center field. Martinez aboard for the first time today. Fans want to remind you the Gathering Place supports, educates, and empowers individuals and families touched by cancer. They do so with programs provided free of charge from 2 locations. So far this year, we have raised $1,500 because Rick and I are each donating $5 for every home run the Indians hit. Great Clips is donating $50 a homer. And thanks to Grady's Blast, we're up to $1,500 on the year. If you'd like to join us, or if you just like some information on the Gathering Place, log on to touchedbycancer.org. Chu sends a sky-high pop. Shallow left to Jesus, calling for it all the way, and the inning is over. We'll go to the 9th with the Indians now in front thanks to Grady Sizemore's 3-run blast, 5-2. Pot up to $155 million. Stop by a local retailer and get your ticket today. Well, we now go to the 9th inning here at Progressive Field. And Here are the changes Eric Wedge has made. Quite a few, actually. Mark DeRosa has gone in to right field from third base. Tony Graffinino stays in, takes over at third. Victor Martinez goes to first. Shopik behind the dish. And now Kerry Wood coming on for the save here in the ninth.
For the sixth time, looking for save number 3. He's going to face a pinch hitter.
Brian Pena. Kerry Wood trying to nail it down here for the Tribe. Pena takes a strike.
The Indians looking for their first series win of the year.
And they've got a chance now. A game that did not look promising for most of the afternoon, thanks to a terrific performance by Gil Mesh through 7 innings. But they nicked him a little bit in the 8th, and then Grady Sizemore came on and hit the big blast off Ron Mayhay as the Tribe erupted for 4 in the home half of the 8th inning. Now the 2-1. A little bit outside. Called strike outside corner, full count. Brian Pena, born in Cuba. Swung on and missed. Lewis gets the strikeout. 1 down here in the 9th.
Well, he comes back to us, that good fastball away right on the outside edge. Looked like it was overmatched. Kerry Wood just hitting his spot. 1 up, 1 down.
Mitch Meyer steps in, 0 for 2 today. Meyer going after that first fastball and fouls it back. You see pitchers a lot today on the mound blowing on their hand. Umpires allow them to do that when the cooler temperatures are present. If you do that in the middle of the summer, they'll call a balk on you.
Hell, even though it's nice, bright, and sunny, it's still chilly.
Chilly.
But that's why I'm glad that today's a day game, man. Be a little chillier tonight, but we'll be home for dinner by then.
You'll be sitting around the fire. There's the 0-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? He did. No, he did not. I thought John Hirschbeck made the call himself, but in fact he appealed to third base umpire Marvin Hudson, who said he held up.
He did, too.
Yeah, good call.
That is a good call.
So now a 1-2 count. Another check swing. Good off-speed pitch, down and in. And the 2-2 is swung on and missed. Wood has struck out the first 2 here in the 9th. Check out our Northern Ohio Buick Pontiac GMC performance of the game. Grady Sizemore, 1 hit, but boy, was it a big one.
Sure was, but 3-run homer, and that seems to be his MO now. He had quite a few last year. He comes back a second 3-run homer and gave the Indians a 5-2 lead.
The Indians 1 out away now from clinching their first series win of the season. He blows it past Coco Crisp, who is 1 for 4 here today. The 0-1. Back to the mound. Woods got it. And the Indians win it. They take 2 out of 3 to win their first series of the year. Kerry Wood gets his 3rd save, sets him down 1-2-3 here in the 9th. And the Indians win it by a final score today of 5-2. Jensen Lewis is the winner for the Tribe.